The verse lie is told to oneself. In John Donne's Holy Sonnet 5, he uses himself as the example to show that as humans, we should not only accept that sin exists, but with that acceptance, we should all together strive for purity. John Donne is confessing his sins and asking for forgiveness from God, as he feels all people should do.
He uses the contrasting ideas, motifs, and metaphors to support this.
John Donne uses contrasting ideas like day and night. In the third line of the poem, it says, "But blameless night, my world's both parts, and oh, both parts must die." So, he pretty much is saying that he isn't a sinner, right?
Yeah.
And that during the night, he...
But black sin hath betrayed to endless night. That means always sinning. And he's saying that he hides that he's sinning in the daytime. At nighttime, he's a sinner, and both parts, like his day and his night, must die, and he wants to become new, and he doesn't want to be a sinner.
Because he's pretending to be something he's not during the day, and at night by actually sinning.
Good job. Okay, John Donne uses contrasting ideas of good and bad throughout Holy Sonnet 5. At the beginning, he says, "I'm a little world made cunningly of elements and angelic sprite." Cunning, angelic sprite, they're both like really positive. Okay, and then the next 10 lines, he's talking about black sin, endless night, die, drown, weeping, drown again, burn, foul, and then flames, and all those are kind of more negative. And then at the end he says, "And burn me, O Lord, with the fiery zeal of thee in thy house which doth an eating heal." Fiery zeal is like a really strong thing towards like being forgiven and stuff. And then of thee in thy house which doth an eating heal kind of represents God's house, like church, and it's more of a positive thing again. So you could say that like when you're made, just like at the beginning of the poem, you're good and you're not meant to be a sinner. But as time goes on, you become a sinner. But then at the end, you have to be forgiven, and that's what he's doing through this poem. He's asking for his forgiveness, although he is a sinner.
Okay. John Donne also uses contrasting ideas through fire and water. In line 7, he starts saying, "Pour new seas in mine eyes, that so I might drown my world with my weeping earnesty, or wash if it must be drowned no more. But oh, it must be burnt, alas, the fire of just envy, of lust and envy, burnt herefore, and made it fouler. Let their flames retire, and burn me, O Lord, with a fiery zeal." John Donne is showing opposing diction through these lines by first talking about water first, and then talking about fire.
In this, both of those, like he uses water and fire to create baptism. He's trying to show baptism through that.
Which is that motif?
Yeah, it's like a motif because he never really says baptism in it. He just kind of like makes you assume, and it's kind of like through the whole end of the poem. He says, when he's talking about the water, he's saying, "Drown my world, pour new seas in mine eyes, that so I might drown my world with my weeping earnestly." He wants to like have when you think about new seas, that's like a new look on things. When you pour water in your eyes, you can like see clearer, and he wants new seas in his eyes, so his world's just drowned out and he sees differently. Or wash it if it must be drowned no more. He's saying, wash
his sins away.
Yeah, but oh, it must be burnt. And then he's talking about fire. "Alas, the fire of lust and envy burnt it heretofore and made it fouler." Lust and envy are like two of the main sins in the Bible. And since John Donne was like a Roman Catholic, you know, he read the Bible and stuff, and he was like really okay, yeah, okay, but it's funny how he used water and fire because those are complete opposites, and I think that the reason he did this was to show that no matter what, even if you have to like burn your sins away, if you have to like wash them away, when you burn, I mean, it's more intense and water is more calming, but no matter what, you should try to get rid of your sins, and that's basically how it ties back to our thesis that John Donne is confessing his sins,
And wants them to go away.
and he feels that all people should do that.
Going back to what we said about baptism being a motif, in line 6, it starts off by saying, have found new spheres, and of new land can write. Pour new seas in my eyes, so I might drown my world with my weeping earnesty. John Donne's baptism, when you get baptized, you like
You're like created new.
yeah. So in these couple lines, he uses the repetition of the word new to show that he wants to become something new through baptism.
Exactly. John Donne also uses a metaphor to compare himself to the whole world. At the first line, he says, "I'm a little world made cunningly." And
He's not. He's saying I'm a little world made cunningly, and that's kind of ironic because usually someone would say like I'm a human made cunningly because we're not each our own worlds, obviously. But I think this is showing how every person lives their own lives, so they have their own little world.
And the reason he does this is so that through the whole poem, you're not just thinking that it's him. He wants you to think about like this in terms of everybody,
Like
and
the
that
whole
everybody
world.
should be forgiven for their sins and ask for forgiveness. And he also says, "You which beyond that heaven which was most high have found new spheres." Spheres is kind of like the shape of a globe, which is like the world. So whenever he says have found new spheres, he's basically saying that,
Found a new world, wants to live a new life.
yeah. And he thinks, since he doesn't say that it's just him, he says spheres, he's talking about how the whole world should like want to live a new life and be clean.
Instead of be sinners,
Yep.
of being sinners.
Exactly. Through the contrasting ideas, motifs, and metaphors, John Donne confessed his sins, asked for forgiveness from God, as he felt all people should do.